room, they go, right this way, Governor.
Yes and no. I was kind of stupid. I didn't realize the cachet. Like we talk about Harvard, like in your book, they know it's a career thing. Like a lot of the writers were 3 jobs ahead, like Schmooze and Castle Rock, and they were going on lunch to get deals.
Like Dave Mandel is now writing for Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah. But they've had deals, and back then when they got the holding deals and this and that, I was so stupid. I thought a writing job meant you write and you get paid. I didn't know it opens up to you get this agent.
Honestly, I thought that's what it was until you just said that.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying, though? It's
I literally thought it was just a write. Until you just said that, that's how I thought, too.
Yeah, you think this is a job. And
what's your job? I work for Jerry Seinfeld. I'm a writer for a show.
But they understood the career. I mean, remember Norm Macdonald said that, I think Dave Mandel, when he was writing on Saturday Night Live, he came from Roseanne, and he goes, why would you leave Roseanne? Meaning you go from Saturday Night Live, very careerist-oriented.
Norm came from Roseanne?
Yeah, and it didn't work out, and then he went and was, the writer.
Took the pay cut to be at SNL.
Yeah, and they go, in their mind, that's the, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it was similar to your book, and I was trying to figure out how this works, because Larry and Jerry, it wasn't nurturing, which they don't have to be nurturing, but there wasn't a table.
It helps. The head is snake should be a little nurturing.
Yeah.
On a big show like that, but anyway.
They don't, they know what they're doing. So they're either on the floor, they're writing, they're editing, they're casting.
Where are you when all this is happening?
I can't write anything till I have a Jerry, Larry, Kramer, and Elaine story approved. So you got to try to chase them, find them,
find Jerry and Larry.
Yeah, to get it approved. One time I took the liberty, I don't know if this was in your book, something similar, where I took the liberty of writing something up that I thought was going to get approved. And they go, why do you do that? I didn't say that's good, And
that is a good Larry David.
So basically,
that is a good Larry David.
And the Harvard, I keep saying these Harvard guys, but they
are fucking Harvard guys.
But they were pushy. They would go right in the room, and like I would stand outside the door waiting for it to open. Hey, guy, can I pitch an idea? And they went right in, right ahead of me. And you got to be ballsy. And
they have like an attitude about being from Harvard. And I remember on SNL thinking, I didn't go to college and we had the exact same job. You went to fucking Harvard and you're writing, Chris Farley's vomiting on a police uniform and that's what you did with your Harvard education.
I remember these 2 Harvard guys said,
names. No, you don't have to.
I'm not bad-mouthing them because
I know. I was kidding.
They said this on the commentary.
The Hamburger Brothers.
Yeah.
Really?
No. What's his name? Alec Berg and Jeff Schaffer. They said it's about me on the commentary. When I was to go, this is Freddie on a date. This is exactly how he'd be on a date. And so they used to say, because my ideas were just things like a bad date, and they used to say, we have to make things up. Nothing bad ever happened to me. And my mouth was, how could you say nothing bad ever happened to you?
These writers said that?
Yes. Like they have to make things up, which, again, I'm not that imaginative when you say about fiction. But so I guess they never unemployed a second in their life. I'm not resentful. I mean, that's different life. I don't understand.
No one thinks you're resentful, and no one thinks you're a whiner, a complainer, or a victim.
Right.
So
okay.
I don't want you to think you have to keep resetting that.
All right.
It's just good storytelling.
Yeah.
So when you get to Seinfeld, it's similar to Saturday Night Live, where I don't know where to hand shit in.
Yeah.
I don't know how many pages is a show? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And you're kind of walking around.
What do you mean Keith Hernandez is in? Who's Keith Hernandez?
Yeah, I didn't even know I could get laid. I remember some woman invited me to. No, I didn't know. Yeah, the cachet even with women. She invited me to some stupid monologues. These actresses, and I go. No.
Were they vagina monologues?
No, it was something.
I wish the vagina monologues people held a mic down to their twats.
I'm surprised no one did that.
And their vaginas actually spoke. That, to me, would be worthy of that bullshit run that it had.
Oh, my God.
When we did More Sports, a short-lived talk show on ESPN, we had guests Jim Lampley, the boxing announcer, and Alec Baldwin, Suge Knight, Al Sharpton. For commercial bumpers on the way out, we had them read from the vagina monologues to show how fucking retarded it was And I mean that retarded.
Yeah.
Like Alec Baldwin going, when I first met my vagina, it was green grass, cow mooing over and over, comfortable, chocolate milk, bubble gum. And you're like, what the fuck? But this is like a great actor doing, and Jim Lampley going, when I first met my vagina, little did I know, mirrors, reflecting ponds, everything, all the world. And you're like, this fucking Eve Ensler thing had such a long run, and every woman in Hollywood like bent over backwards to get their vaginas to talk.
I like that.
Fred, go. I'm like Larry David. What are your thoughts? Vagina monologue. Fred, go.
No, but yeah. So no, the woman invited me, and she had a boyfriend. I'm thinking, why did she? I thought she liked me, but she thought I was a writer. Would put
she
in
needed some
stuff.
of that Fred Stoller dick on the side.
Please, yeah, we all do.
I know you throw it around.
Oh,
that's why you're at the Grove waving to the trolley guy, because he's got passengers behind him, and they got to get off.
Oh, this is so much fun because I just did Andy Dick, and he's like I said, going to the bathroom and going, "Who's this again?" And I feel sorry.
What's the name of Andy Dick's podcast? The Shit Show?
Well, he took a 1.5 year hiatus, probably, and did
to get his act together, right?
And now someone
was he sober to the best of your vision?
Yeah, he seemed it. Yeah,
in the beginning of Alcoholics Anonymous, the big book, I love it. There's really no person or item or behavior unaccounted for in the AA big book, where it says very simply, there are those unfortunate few that cannot be saved. So at the end of the day, there are just some guys, gals that just, it ain't going to fucking happen.
Something, being an NBA fan like you are, there's guys like, Michael Ray Richardson, Roy Tarpley, but you realize...
Vin Baker drank himself out of it. You probably don't even know that.
My friend went to college with him, Connecticut.
Antoine Walker's a drunk.
Who? Oh, that's sad.
Antoine Walker was a bum, JJ.
Oh, that's sad. He's in the D League, and no one's going to pick him up.
No.
But, you realize not to judge people like, hey, you take a piss test, you lose $1 million. Well, Larry David's not saying that. Like, it's not rational thought.
That to me was a guy from the neighborhood. That was a Brooklyn guy.
Yeah, hey, man.
But see, I do judge them because my addict sympathy is zero. Because I've quit, and everyone I know has quit. Like, David Tell doesn't fucking drink.
Really?
David Tell hasn't drank in 5 years. He quit because he got, why? Because he got sick of fucking those asshole lumberjack audience members that would come see him because of his show Insomniac going, come do shots with us. Like he became a prisoner of that.
Yeah.
And so his rebelling was, I'm not drinking at all. I'm just going to smoke 40 packs a day.
But let me ask you something. In the defense of NBA guys, it's even like a Robert Downey Jr., he got it together, but it's maybe a thing you don't do by 33, it seems, in NBA's career. It seems like you can't go, if you drink do this, you're going to lose your NBA contract. It just seems like even with you, when you're younger, I think it seems like with sobriety, it takes, what I'm saying?
There's no,
at your time.
There's no carrot to dangle that can get anybody sober.
Mm-hmm.
If you told me when I was drinking and taking pills and drinking 2 bottles.
That's what I'm saying.
And drinking 2 bottles of NyQuil a day and smoking grass every day. If you said to me,
you'll lose Saturday Night Live,
I would be like, well, I'll do it where you can't catch me.
Well, it's the same thing with the NBA guys.
I'm agreeing with you. So, because we're all so smart addicts. But we're not.
Charming.
And if you watch the show Intervention, they're so fucking common. And that to me is the downfall of the addict, is the belief that you're not like you don't know what I've been through.
Well,
yes,
like Charlie Sheen was great.
I don't need to know what you went through. Well, I don't need to know.
I will it to go away when he was doing that shit.
You're an addict. It doesn't matter if you got fucked when you were a kid or if you had an uncle that punched the shit out of you. Right now, you can't stop this, and your life is unmanageable, and you need help. And until you lay your chess piece down on the board and say, I surrender, you're not going to get sober.
The biggest farce was that Dr. Drew show. He would put Heidi Fleiss and Tom Sizemore in together for good TV, and they'd fight. And they all got paid to be there. Andy Dick got like $750,000, and that's
crazy talk. That's what Ashton Kutcher makes.
No, but not for an episode.
I know, but trust me, as a man that has created television shows and received those checks. That's impossible.
Okay, but that's what someone said.
$7,500.
But I heard
They added a comma by accident.
But I'm saying no. The VH1 makes money. Dr. Drew makes money. They should
Right.
make money.
Right.
But it's not rehab. It's just the surreal life
It could
mixed
be.
with. Is that what rehab is when they fight and that's my bed? Fuck you. And
Yes.
really.
But the problem is it's truncated into a short amount of time because on a television you have a board when you make your schedule
But
for
they
television.
want drama. Like Dennis Rodman.
I truly believe in my heart of hearts, and I have to believe this,
Sure.
that Dr. Drew, having met him and having many
I'm sure he
conversations
cares, but he wants good TV.
I think he would trade it all if he didn't think he was actually helping these people. In fact, I would bet $50,000 that in his heart at night, he really worries about these people.
All right,
and
you
I bet
know him,
he's
you
had
met him.
arguments. I've called Dr. Drew out of the blue for personal issues with members,
Well, you know better than me. That's what
with
rehab
members
is?
of my family that needed help.
Okay.
And he's called me back within the hour and said, they need to go to this place. Don't let them say this to you. They're going to tell you this. Tell them fucking
All
too
right.
bad. And don't let them do this. And make sure that the intake person knows A, B, C. He didn't have to call me back. He's a big shot.
Then my friend said something stupid to him at the Grove. He passed him. He goes, "Great job with Jeff Conway."
Oh,
Well, that's stupid. I didn't. Yeah.
I bet that hurt Dr. Drew's heart.
I don't think he heard, luckily, because
And then he went home and snorted. He snorts money.
Oh,
Dr. Drew's drug is money. He goes
Oh,
home and
yeah.
snorts a big pile of cash. He chops it up and
But
snorts.
but every time there's a thing, they always turn to him as the expert. Whitney Houston, this.
But he
that.
is the expert. Like, he really is an expert on that. He's an addiction specialist. But that happens to be on VH1, which kind of
Right.
lowers your portfolio.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The same people that did, like, I remember Donkey Kong Jr., that was the best video game of all time. And, like, coming up next, you know.
Who's that? You just, that Christopher Walken. Was that him?
No, that was Tracy Morgan, but you have a good ear.
Of time.
I remember Donkey Kong. And the thought that this poor man, Mario,
See, that's a great bit where you have those I love the 80s stupid things.
working
with,
hard to save a princess. He throws barrels.
Let me ask you, I don't like when he did Man on Fire, he did the gravelly voice.
Well, that's something they all do.
And Morgan Freeman, I didn't like when he did that gravelly voice in $1 Million Punch. Now, my mother, I saw that movie, $1 Million Punch.
I'll tell these guys you feel that way.
Yeah, I'm sure they.
Good old Andy crawled through a mile of shit and came out the other side. You like
Best movie ever.
it's it's up there. My
That
wife
Dog
had a dog
Afternoon.
named Andy Dufresne.
You do?
Not now, she did.
Oh, she had the tattoo quote. Get busy. You know, I went.
Wait, my wife did not have a tattoo that says "Get busy." You fucking prick.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
What? Get rich or die trying. My wife has above her.
Get
pubes.
out of here.
No, my wife always said she wanted a tattoo next to her vagina hole that says, "If you lived
Good
here,
shot.
if you lived here, you'd be home by now."
Oh my God! What if I went to a tattoo? I said I want that tattoo from Shawshank Redemption on my arm, and he put the wrong quote from Shawshank Redemption.
How could you be so obtuse?
Oh,
But what did my wife? What tattoo?
She has some Annie Hall.
Oh yeah, we need
Yeah,
the
but I know more about your wife than you.
No, apparently.
You don't know that she has a tattoo of Annie Hall?
Of course, I wanted to know which one you meant.
What other movie quotes does she have?
Well, she has on her ankle. She has "I thirst," which was Jesus' last words, and Mother Teresa's goodbye letter. She carved it behind her bed. They didn't find it till about 40 years after she left to go help the lepers in Calcutta. Her like, this is what I need to do with the rest of my life, was boiled down to a simple carving of "I thirst," which I thought was incredible. She has "No Greater Love," which is inscribed on our wedding rings, and she has "We Need the Eggs" from Annie Hall.
I have the quote from Little Man on my chest.
Which
The Wayans Brothers movie.
Little Man.
I have, kick him in the nuts.
Again?
Yo.
So how long did you write for Seinfeld?
Just the 40 weeks of, I knew
That's
it was
2
called my
years.
Seinfeld year. No, it's a 40-week contract. It's not 40 episodes.
Can you, and you don't have to answer, how much does a writer make on Seinfeld coming in at the low level, low level meaning you came in out of the cold?
That was 1994, the 5. So that was what was the thing called? Creative consultant or no, story, something. And it was like 2,200, which
week.
was a lot back in
For
94,
40 weeks is
95.
great.
Yeah, and
And you get all, free dental and medical and all that.
as long as you're making the union money.
Right.
I mean, that year I had good coverage.
It's a living.
And I got the Writers Guild card where you get to see free movies at the Grove for a few months. Yeah, so that was
Is that
good.
all you people ever think about?
I was once at this, I don't want to name names, but this billionaire showrunner's house, and he's going, look at these DVDs I get free. No. And it's like, you have millions. Aronson. Phil Rosenthal. And but I'm saying, but even the guy from Wizards of Waverly Place, he's going, yeah, free DVD screener season. So people love free movies, no matter how rich you are.